Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dan Mack. I'm a first year medical student, and today we've got a brand new series, Journey to Medicine, where I interview some of my friends and fellow medical students about their journey to medicine. So today we have my friend and fellow medic, Enoch.
Hello everyone, hi. So Dan's very kindly asked me to come and speak to you guys about my journey into medicine. So as a brief introduction, so I actually did biomedical science as my first undergraduate degree. And once I graduated, I wasn't really into medicine at all actually at the time. So I joined the Air Force and spent 6 years in the Air Force before realizing medicine is for me. And here I am on the same course as Dan.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So you just said you did biomed first, and then you moved on to RAF stuff. What made you initially want to work with the RAF in the first place?
So it's a bit of a long story, but I'll keep it short. So I was in the Air Cadets since the age of like 13. So I was always wanted to be in the Air Force, but unfortunately, when I finished sixth forms, the Air Force wasn't recruiting. Which is basically budget cuts and all the rest of it. So I thought, like, I'm not just going to sit here and work in Tesco for a couple of years and in the hope that they might start recruiting again. So I thought, let's go to uni. And I was interested in biomed, and I thought about going into genetic engineering, which fortunately I didn't get into because obviously I wouldn't be here now.
Okay. So what kind of things did you do working in the RAF?
So initially I joined as a pilot, and so I did that for 4 years before I realized medicine is what I was interested in and wanted to do. So I'd actually rebranched to do something called medical support officer, and that basically involves a whole array of things, in involves training, managing logistics, managing administrations, and a whole host of other things, basically supporting clinical staff. So I wasn't clinical at the time. I was basically having the medical background knowledge to be able to support them. And my specific role was to validate surgical teams before they can get deployed around the world.
Oh, wow. That's intense. And wow. So that must have, like, the skills you developed with that must have helped you in medical school now then?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it actually was exactly what got me into medical school, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't have like A stars across the board on my A levels, but I think the skills that I've learned and maturity that I've gained through being in the forces has massively helped. And something else that has really helped as well is because I was within the medical services in the military, and I was able to get work experience quite easily because I had a lot of contacts through, like, I knew consultants who were that I was working with. So I just literally had to ask them, like, would you mind if I shadow you for a week or so? And they'll put me into their trust and sorting me out for quite a few of those work experience.
Oh, wow. So is there any like standout work experience that was like your favorite?
I don't think I could. I didn't actually do that much work experience, so I'll be brief. But so I started off doing some work experience that I organized myself at a care home, a local care home that I was in. And I as much as that's not what people expect, because people are thinking about work experience as actually working with doctors. That was probably my highlights of my work experience, because I've learned so much things through the nurse that I was shadowing, in terms of especially palliative care and learning empathy. And you'll find out that as you go through interviews and go through medical school, communication skills and empathy are probably something that you are very, very important, because you can learn anatomy and you can learn everything about the body through textbooks, and it's just a matter of time and revisions. But something that it would take a long time to develop is the communication skills and the empathy, and that's really helped. And I've also managed to get a couple of placements in 2 different hospitals, one in Middlesbrough, working in A&E I did that over Christmas and New Year, actually, because that was the time that I could get time off work. And then I also spent a week in Birmingham, basically doing intensive care for a week as well.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of interesting experience.
It definitely gave me a good insight of like what I'm signing myself up to. For example, my first day at A&E, it was meant to be a 12-hour shift, but it extended into like 14 and a half hours because we had someone who got brought in by an ambulance half an hour before the end of the day. And you don't just drop a patient, you carry on until that patient's through. So
yeah. So having worked at the RAF and now studying medicine and like your A&E work experience, is it like pre-hospital medicine, like full medicine, ambulance? That's something you're looking forward to in the future, or you've got another specialty?
No, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So I am quite keen on emergency medicines and potentially emergency surgery. So those are the two fields that I'm quite interested in. It's something that, coming from a military background, has really got me excited, because being able to just deal with something very fast paced and basically something unpredicted, really.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I've been to a few trauma things like the ones that run at uni, and it just seems amazing. Like what you guys have to do, and like it's just amazing. So fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, how do you find the balance in, would you say, studying medicine and everything, and not studying medicine? Like, is there a balance in medicine, do you think?
Oh, the answer is obviously absolutely yes. And it's interesting because GEM is a very different beast to most medicine courses, because the first 2.5 years has been compressed into 18 months for us. So back in October last year, I was thinking like, there's no way I'll be able to fit a part-time job in, because there's just so much that we're having to get through, and just sheer volume of stuff, really. But if I said this to myself 3 months ago, I wouldn't believe it. But I'm volunteering with the St John's Ambulance doing vaccinator, and also East Midlands Ambulance Services as a first responder, and also got myself a part-time job fit testing people's masks.
Man, it's nice to see that you've still got the passion for it even when you're at medical school, because like a lot of people do their work experience, get to medical school, they're like, no, I'm done, but you're still out there, enjoy it, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is. And you're absolutely right what you're saying about the balance, because it's so easy to just get our heads stuck in the books and learn, study, revise, and that's it. And what obviously the danger of that, the biggest danger is burnout, because we're just working ourselves and not actually breathing and living a life. And on the flip side of that as well, what I'm doing is obviously great for what I'm doing for the society and the community, but also it's really good experience, because as a first responder, I get to put my clinical skills into real practice.
Yeah, definitely. So a question one of the followers asked is, after you've got your degree and everything, and F1 and F2, do you think going back to work in the military as a military doctor is something you consider, or?
Yeah. So I've already started the applications of going back into the military. I've not actually, so if the Navy sees this, they're going to be like, So I'm not actually 100% made my mind up yet. But so I've started applying to join the Navy. And you'll probably ask the next question is like, why the Navy, not the Air Force? The short answer is because the Navy gets you around quite a bit. You actually get to travel a bit more. It's interesting because despite the fact that the Air Force, you think, flies everywhere in the world, they don't really stay anywhere. They literally fly there, do what they need to do, pick people up, and then we'll come back. Whereas the Navy, because you're on a ship, so you go to different ports around the world, and simple things like being able to go to the Caribbean to help out with the hurricane season every year is something that is very, very rewarding to be able to do and get involved with.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, I remember going to the talk you arranged for our uni, which was amazing, because I never thought about it myself. So I guess thank you very much for arranging that. Amazing experience.
You're very welcome.
So yeah, just last few things. Do you watch Grey's? This is my always find a fun question. Do you watch Grey's?
I do, but I am embarrassed to admit that I'm only on season 2.
That's all right. That's okay. Do you have any favorites so far, or any medics that you think that you could be?
I don't think I've got a favorite, especially knowing that there are so many more characters that I haven't actually met yet. So I don't think it's fair, and I don't actually see myself as any one of them up until season 2 anyway. But and it's interesting. Obviously, Grey's is a TV drama, but as you will probably agree that there's so much that we can learn from it, especially on the medical ethics side of things, that how they are always faced with very dramatic decision to be made. But if you think about it, it does actually happen in real life. Obviously, not on a daily basis, but it's something that it's good to be able to reflect on.
Well, definitely, I often find that when I'm watching an episode, I'm like, hang on, this is a really good like psychosocial thing to consider. Let's just take a step back. But no, you're exactly right. Well, there's a character that will come up in seasons come. I'm not going to any spoilers, but his name's Owen Hunt. Just keep a lookout for him. I reckon you'll like him. I reckon you'll like him. Okay.
I will do. Have you watched all of it?
I'm almost at the end. But trust me, when you find him, you're like, oh, this is it. But lastly, then, for anyone who's watching this, who's probably worked in the RAF or anything, or considering medicine and considering being a trauma or anything like that, do you have any tips for them?
My advice is probably that rather than because obviously you need the grades, that's not negotiable. So that's just one of those barriers I need to get through and hurdles. So get the grades. But the most important thing is when you come to getting work experience, it's not about the quantity of experience that you've done. Don't go and tell them that you've done 10, 20 GP placements or anything like that, because that's not what they're interested in. And they'll find out very quickly through the interview that you just sat there and didn't do anything. It's all about what you've actually done and what you've learned, and start. So medicine is a very reflective career. So start doing reflections as you are going through your work experience, and you'll find that very, very beneficial, because I started doing reflection on my very first day of working in a care home, and I wrote down what I've learned and how I reflected on everything that I've seen, and that gave me a lot to talk about at the interview.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely great advice. Reflection is key when it comes to interview. You can't just be like, I this. You have to see how it actually affected you, So that's great advice. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for coming today. I'm sure
it's my pleasure.
So thank you very, very much.